He was huge. Ingrid Bergman confesses everything in her memoir. Ingrid Bergman was born on August 29, 1915 in Stockholm, Sweden. She grew up in a world far removed from the glitter of show business. Her early life was marked by tragedy. She lost her mother at the age of 3 and her beloved father, a photographer who had instilled in her an early love of images and performance, died when she was just 12. Orphaned and shy, she was raised by relatives, but found her escape in her calling on the stage. Despite her quiet demeanor, Bergman displayed early on an extraordinary ability to express emotion, and she pursued acting with unwavering determination. She studied at the prestigious Royal Dramatic Theatre School in Stockholm, which had also trained Greta Garbo, another Swedish legend. Her talent quickly set her apart, and before long, she was appearing in Swedish films, where her luminous presence and natural acting style drew critical acclaim. One of her early breakthrough roles came in the 1936 Swedish film Intermezzo, which would later catapult her to international stardom when it was remade in Hollywood. In 1939, at the invitation of producer David Elsnick, Bergman arrived in Hollywood to star in the American version of Intermezzo, a love story opposite Leslie Howard. With her soft, unaffected beauty, gentle accent, and sincere performances, she stood in stark contrast to the more stylized stars of the day. Audiences were captivated, and Ingrid quickly became one of the most sought-after actresses of the early 1940s. Her rise was swift and dazzling. Over the next few years, she starred in a string of classic films that showcased her range and emotional depth. Among her most iconic performances was her role as Ilsun in Casablanca in 1942 opposite Humphrey Bogart. The film has since become one of the most beloved in cinema history, and Bergman's portrayal of a woman torn between love and duty is central to its enduring appeal. Her radiant face, especially in the poignant scenes at Rick's Cafe, is forever etched in the memory of moviegoers worldwide. Bergman's work during this period earned her widespread acclaim and multiple Academy Award nominations. In 1944, she won her first Academy Award for Best Actress for her riveting performance in Gaslight, where she portrayed a woman slowly driven to believe she is going insane. The psychological intensity and vulnerability she brought to the role displayed her remarkable dramatic skill. This was followed by other memorable roles, including in Alfred Hitchcock's notorious 1946, where she starred opposite Cary Grant in a complex tale of espionage, passion, and betrayal. Once again, proving her ability to command the screen with elegance and emotional truth. She followed her heart and moved to Italy, collaborating with Rossellini on a series of neo-realist films, including Stromboli 1950, Europa 51, and Journey to Italy. While these films were not commercial hits at the time, they were later recognized for their influence on modern cinema and their bold experimentation. After several years abroad, Bergman made a triumphant return to American cinema in 1956 with her performance in Anastasia, for which she won her second Academy Award. This time, a symbolic welcome back from the industry that had once shunned her. She continued to act in both European and American films, proving herself time and again as one of the most versatile and fearless actresses of her generation. She also received acclaim on the stage and in television, including her Emmy-winning performance in A Woman Called Gula, where she portrayed Israeli Prime Minister Golder. Throughout her career, Ingrid Bergman was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, winning 3 along with 2 Emmy Awards, a Tony Award, and countless other honors. She acted in 5 languages and worked with some of the greatest directors of the 20th century, including Alfred Hitchcock, Ingmar Bergman, no relation, and Sidney Lumet. But beyond the accolades, it was her unmistakable sincerity and quiet dignity that endeared her to audiences across generations. Ingrid Bergman lived boldly, acted brilliantly, and refused to be confined by the narrow expectations of her time. Even when scandal threatened to overshadow her accomplishments, she never compromised her integrity or her devotion to her craft. In her personal life, she knew profound highs and painful lows, marriages, divorces, motherhood, and illness. But she faced them all with remarkable poise. Ingrid Bergman was the acclaimed Swedish actress renowned for her beauty and talent, first marrying in 1937 to Peter Ehrenleinstam. He had been a highly respected medical professional, namely being a neurosurgeon, which had placed him into a very different world from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood and international cinema that Bergman was in. Their marriage, though it seemed stable for the most part and within the norms of societal expectations, was complicated through Bergman's now rising stardom and her deeper plunging into the film industry. Ingrid and Peter Lindstrom had one daughter together, Pia Lindstrom, who was born in 1938 and would later become a very successful television journalist and news anchor herself. The image, though, of this traditional family belied the strained relationship which would ensue between the couple, for the most part from the demands Bergman's career placed upon her and the personal struggles she faced as she grew older and internationally prominent. During the late 1940s, one of the dramatic turns in Ingrid Bergman's life was the development of a romantic relationship with Italian filmmaker Roberto Rossellini. Most famous for his role in pioneering Italian neorealist cinema, he would be an influential and important director. While she was still married to Lindstrom, their affair began. This fact stirred considerable scandal at the time. It was both a passionate and controversial affair, since it had crossed the boundaries expected by society for marriages regarding fidelity. This affair came into the public eye after Bergman gave birth to Rossellini's child, a daughter named Isabella Rossellini, born in 1952. This birth of a child is symbolic of the significant rupture in Bergman's personal life and sparks intense media scrutiny and public debates. After the birth of Isabella in 1952, Ingrid Bergman divorced Peter Lindstrom in 1950, ending their 13-year marriage. Shortly thereafter, Bergman and Rossellini legalized their marriage by getting married in Mexico. Their marriage was not only a new life cycle for Bergman, but became deeply intertwined with Rossellini's cinematic vision and Italian culture as well. The two went on to have another two children, Roberto Ingmar Rossellini in 1954 and Isa Ingrid Rossellini in 1956. Still, the marriage was fraught with the tension of professional pressures, cultural differences, and intense scrutiny from the press, stemming from the early scandal of their relationship. Bergman and Rossellini divorced in 1957, ending the complex and influential partnership that had indelibly marked both personal lives and cinematic histories. In 1958, just 1 year after her divorce from Rossellini, Ingrid Bergman married Lars Schmidt, a Swedish theatrical entrepreneur and impresario. Schmidt was very helpful for Bergman's theater work in Europe, and this relationship gave her a more stable and private personal life after the years of public scandal. Their marriage lasted for nearly 2 decades, from 1958 until 1975. During this time, Bergman was able to balance her career with a personal life and found support through Schmidt's appreciation for the arts and his management of theater productions. However, as in many long marriages, their relationship ended in divorce, which concluded another chapter in Bergman's intricate and multidimensional personal life. When Ingrid Bergman wrote of Gregory Peck in her memoirs, she didn't just refer to his physique, though there was certainly nothing forgettable about that. He was massive, she wrote, and the word echoed with so much more than just a remark on his height or broad-shouldered build. It was a statement heavy with awe, admiration, and something almost confessional, as if the memory itself had once overwhelmed her. Physically, Gregory Peck epitomized classic Hollywood masculinity, towering over most of his colleagues. His commanding frame was often the one element that left an indelible mark on audiences and co-stars alike. Bergman, a woman who had worked with legends across continents, from Humphrey Bogart to Cary Grant, still found herself struck by the sheer presence Peck exuded the moment he walked onto a set. He didn't enter a room, she noted. He filled it. His physicality was statuesque, almost Roman in its nobility, yet it was never intimidating. There was a gentleness in his posture, an elegance to his movements that softened the brute strength his body projected. But when Bergman said massive, she was also referring to his soul. Peck's moral compass, his quiet intensity, and the profound integrity with which he carried himself, all of it added up to something enormous. He had a gravity about him, she remembered, as if the very air listened when he spoke. She described how, during even the most mundane conversations, he had the ability to make you feel as though your words mattered deeply. You couldn't lie to him, she confessed. He had eyes that saw through you, and not in a way that made you feel exposed, but in a way that made you want to be honest. Their time working together,